Samantha Carew, um, and I am the Associate Director for Family Engagement. We're so glad you're here with us. We're going to record the session so that any folks who aren't able to join us can listen and watch later, including yourselves. And we're glad that you are able to join us. I'm here representing the new Student and Family Programs team, and I'm so excited that I have an amazing colleague, or two colleagues with me this evening, as well as some students to talk with you. I would love to mention Julia Gibson, who is supporting us from from the wings on the tech side in many ways. And I'd love to then kick off to my colleague, Amy Neal, the Associate Director for Student Engagement. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much, Samantha. I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. As Samantha said, I'm Amy Neal. I'm the Associate Director for Student Engagement. In that role, I sort of support all of our different student engagement sorry, I'm trying to get my slides to go. Apologize for that. All of our different student engagement departments that we're going to go over this evening. I am an AU graduate. I've been on staff for about 2 years, and I started out with new student family programs and transitioned about right around the time Samantha came. We got a few weeks together. It's been amazing to work with. And then in my role, in addition to supporting the student engagement teams, I also support the market, which is our food pantry on campus. I support veteran services and our affinity graduation programs that we do. Welcome to everybody. We're excited to have you here. I also want to introduce who is not here, but our AVP of Student Engagement and Success. This is Dr. Dane Hutchinson. He's also been at AU for about 2 years. He's been a Dean of Students, an Assistant Dean of Student Affairs, Director for Student Development, and an Assistant Director for Student Affairs. And he does like everybody to follow him on Instagram, which is Dane_AU. He often shares out all kinds of stuff that students do, that our different groups are doing, all kinds of stuff like that. So tonight we're going to go over this portfolio of student engagement offices. And these are all areas that provide ways for our students to find activities to do on and off campus, but also to help them find community and engagement outside of the classroom. I'm going to go over an overview, and then I'm going to throw it to our 3 students that have joined us, Jeffrey, Sherry, and Jane, and they're all going to give you a little bit of information about how they got involved. They're all very amazing students who are just wonderful to work with, and also involved in all kinds of different areas on campus, from social to academic to leadership positions all across campus. And then if there's time at the end, we can try to answer a few of your questions. We did review all of your questions that you submitted, and so we have tried to address those as we go throughout our presentation this evening. So I do want to talk a little bit about why it's important for students to be engaged outside of the classroom. If your student is a first year and you attended New Eagle Essentials with them this summer, then you probably heard me touch a little bit on this. There's a lot more to college life than just academics, and feeling connected and feeling like you have a place that you belong are really key factors in students having a successful college experience. You know, we want them to get plugged in. We want them to be successful. And this helps create leadership skills, communication skills, decision-making skills, and just really leads to an overall more pleasant college, happier college experience. They're much more likely to be successful and complete their 4 years in university. The staff in all of these departments that you're about to hear about are all committed to helping your students find the communities they need to be successful. They're committed to helping them find the resources they need and to find ways that they can thrive here at AU. From the moment your student arrives on campus for their first semester all the way through graduation and beyond, we offer opportunities and activities across all of our departments so that students have frequent and ongoing opportunities to find their place and feel that sense of belonging that is so important. And as you guys know, it kicked off at the beginning of the year with orientation and welcome week. Um, we have had family weekend. If some of you got to come back and join us for that, we love that. We've got Heritage and Affinity Month celebrations all year long, fraternity and sorority recruitment coming up in January, and all kinds of stuff all the way through our affinity graduations at the end of the spring semester. Um, so here are the areas that we're going to go through tonight: our Center for Leadership and Community Engagement, the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, Center for Student Involvement, K Spiritual Life Center, New Student and Family Programs, and the University Center. And as you can see, our mission here is that we are committed to the intentional and holistic development, support, and engagement of students. We work to provide transformational co-curricular experiences that are reflective of the university's mission to foster intellectual curiosity, build community, and empower lives of purpose, service, and leadership. We center students and their experiences at the core of our work, and we endeavor to help them find their place at AU, to belong, thrive, grow, and graduate. And all of these offices, with the exception of K Spiritual Life Center, um, which has its own building on the quad, are all located in our newly renovated third floor space of the Mary Graydon Student Center. Students are always welcome to stop in, ask questions, find out where they can get plugged in. Our offices are staffed with professional student affairs staff, graduate assistants, and undergraduate student staff who are always willing to help students find their way and help them find that sense of belonging. We are all right together, right down one hallway, and you can find all of us, and our offices are always open. We're going to jump in and start with the Center for Leadership and Community Engagement. They have renewed their focus this year on leadership, alongside their focus that they've had for years on service and engagement in the community. The CLCE, as we affectionately call it, coordinates opportunities for service locally, on campus, and in the DC region, as well as nationally and internationally. Their service learning focus prepares students to partner with diverse communities to address local and global challenges and to gain a deeper understanding of their responsibility to actively contribute to civic life. Several of their programs you can see on the screen are their alt break programs, their community-based learning and research programs, DC Reads, and more. The alt breaks program are student-driven and student-led. They're service trips across the globe, really. The students develop them, they plan them, and they implement them. They reach out to these communities, they find out what the needs are, and they work to help serve these communities. They do it in DC, they do it around the United States, and they do it across multiple continents. And then they also offer their their community-based learning and research programs. And there's two options with these. So there are full courses that are planned by the professors, and they do their service projects that are incorporated directly into their classwork, and the entire class participates. So this is something they would find as they are registering for classes. The other one is specific research programs where it is an add-on to a class that they have chosen. And so they would work with CLCE and their professor to figure out what sort of service project would help them put their classroom learning to work out in the community. And it gives students hands-on experience by going beyond just what they're learning in the classroom. All of their service opportunities can be found and tracked on a platform called GivePulse. It is related to our Engage platform with all of our programs and offerings and events on it. But this way they can go in, find what service opportunities are available for them to use with their classes, or if they're just looking for volunteer hours, and they can track all of those hours and all of that information in there so that they can then work with their professors and work with CLCE to make sure they're meeting their goals. One of their newest programs that they wanted to spotlight is what they call leader shops. And this is where they have, as they've renewed their focus on leadership, they have started offering these programs called leadershops, that are leadership workshops that are available for all students to take to work on their leadership skills. They're to help students understand who they are as a leader and how to work effectively with others and to create change. And they have all been intentionally designed to provide students with an opportunity to connect with their peers, explore concepts of leadership, and really reflect on their capacity as a leader to identify their goals and their future opportunities. The next office I want to focus on is the Center for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. They work to advance the university's commitment to respecting and valuing diversity by serving as a liaison for students, staff, and faculty on issues of equity through education, outreach, and advocacy. This center is dedicated to enhancing LGBTQ, multicultural, first generation, and women's experiences on campus. They have programs that include workshops, trainings, dialogue sessions across campus around topics that can be challenging but important to our students. And they also have programming that commemorates Heritage Month and identity acknowledgements throughout the year. And these are opportunities for all members of the community to expand their knowledge and understanding, gather together, and to celebrate with their peers. And as you can see on the screen, there's a list in the graphic of all the different heritage and inclusion months that we celebrate across campus. Other programming that they have includes their Lunch and Listen series. Each gathering, I think they've had 3. They're about to have their 4th one next week. Each gathering is focused on a specific topic, and students can share feedback and ideas with the team about how they feel like they could get more involved, or they would like to see opportunities to get more involved. They just come in, sit down, have lunch, and just chat, depending on what the theme is. I believe the next one is in relation to our first gen month that's coming up. And so it's for our first gen students to gather together to share what they would like to see available on campus for first generation students. They also have recently launched their Peer Education Academy, which trains and cultivates students to facilitate meaningful conversations, advocate for their peers, and contribute to a positive and inclusive campus. And they do want to highlight tonight our First Generation Week that's coming up in November. This is an opportunity to celebrate all of our first generation students on campus. There will be events all throughout the week, November 6th through 8th, and probably one of the biggest ones we have coming up is our First Gen Palooza, which is going to be out on the quad. It's going to have games, entertainment, food, and then all kinds of resources out there tabling for our students to let them know what kind of support they have across the university. The next organization I want to cover is the Center for Student Involvement. So the Center for Student Involvement is our largest student programming body on campus. It's home to so many student-run and student-focused organizations. I don't think there's going to be time to cover them all this evening, but I'm going to hit a few high points. It is the home to our student government, the AU Club Council, Student Media Board, Student Activity Council, and Fraternity and Sorority Life. They currently have 175 recognized student-led organizations with 28 potential applications being submitted. If your student can't find a club that fits their interests, they can start one. The process for starting a club and maintaining a club are all laid out on the CSI Student Club's webpage. And they are currently hosting a series of events and trainings focused on teaching students how to start and how to run their clubs. The Club Council and Student Activity Council are both there to help students, Student Activity Council to come up with activities and events and entertainment across the university throughout the year. And the Club Council helps to support these clubs. They basically help with the funding and the running of the clubs. So as students want to start clubs, this club council will help them guide them through that. Um, Fraternity and sorority recruitment. I know there's a question about this. It happens every January, and students have to have completed 12 credit hours at AU to be eligible, unless you're a transfer student, in which case you can transfer in 12 credit hours from an accredited college or university that they've come from. And all of the details for that are laid out on the fraternity and sorority life webpage. We also just wrapped up student government elections this past week. So we will be finding out in the next week or two who our new student government is for the university. Um, and all of these areas, all of these different club council, student government, the media board, all of them have a dedicated staff member in the Center for Student Involvement. To advise the organizations, to answer all the questions, to make sure students are following school policies and all of the protocols that are involved with getting being a part of a club on campus. And the best place to find out where to get involved, where these clubs are, what they're doing, is Engage. Direct your kids when they ask your students, when they ask you, or when they're talking to you about getting involved, to look at our Engage page, our Engage app. It is all student or all groups across campus, almost all of them um, post their events, post their all kinds of stuff in there. There's newsletters, and CSI is the home for maintaining Engage. And so they have all kinds of information on there about navigating events, about finding out what all the different clubs are on campus. They answer, gosh, pretty much they have like answers to every question you could ask about getting involved on either their website or their Engage platform. And the program they asked me to highlight for you guys this evening is their Pups and Pumpkins. It's coming up. It's on Friday, October 25th at 2 on the quad. It is a Halloween costume contest, but all the contestants are dogs. So people across the AU community who have pets will dress them up in costumes and parade them across the quad, and everybody gets to vote and see who has the best looking pup for Halloween. It's an annual fall event that happens every year with seasonal treats, all kinds of attractions, and live entertainment. And so it's going to be a really fun time for our students. The next club I want to highlight, group that I want to highlight is our K Spiritual Life Center. They are the home to over 24 active belief communities. In addition to their many religious services that they host, they also offer several programs that are focused on building community and thought-provoking discussions. As you can see on the screen here, they have tea time, soup with substance, Sunday night food for thought, and they are constantly working on more programs. The goal of K is really to bring people together to have thoughtful discussions around what can be challenging topics, in our time. And they have very many community partners that they work with as well to support the various faith traditions and belief systems that we find on campus. And they work with these different community partners to plan events and do outreach to the AU community. K is always open, and there are always staff members there. There's always people there. So if your students are looking for some sort of belief or faith tradition that they want to get involved with, they can just stop in at K and talk to somebody, and Chaplain Eric or whoever's there can really help them answer questions, help them get plugged in and get involved. And one of the things they wanted to highlight today was our tea time. It is every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. They have cupcakes for the students, and it's really just a time for students to connect and get plugged into belief communities and student groups. It's ways for students to become more comfortable with the K Spiritual Life building space and just sort of explore and find their way around. You can get a cup of hot tea, you can get a cupcake, and it's just a time to get to know each other and just to be relaxed and take a little break, throughout as you're getting started on a very busy week. I've got two more programs I want to touch on. The first is the University Center. The University Center is the heart of our student center. This is the staff that keeps everything going. And while they don't have specific programs that they design for students, all of our programs could not happen without them. They manage the room reservations. They run our information desk at the first floor of Mary Graydon Center, and they are also the home of one of our two student-run coffee shops on campus called The Bridge. Um, they are one of the reasons I like to highlight them is because they are a really big employer on campus. They employ students at the information desk. They employ students to do room setups and all of that throughout Mary Graydon Center. And they also hire students to run the bridge. So, when you're in there, it's always students that are taking care of you. They run the place amazing. It's my favorite place for coffee on campus. Try not to tell everybody that, but it really is. Um, but the bridge is also a great space because it is where so many of our student groups hold events. So you almost every time you walk in there, you're going to see groups of students hosting events, inviting people in, having a great time, and just connecting in there. Um, and then the program spotlight for them that I wanted to highlight is that they have been overseeing a huge renovation in Mary Graydon Center. We have recently renovated our dining hall. We just completed our third floor renovation. They are still overseeing a renovation of the second floor. And our third floor has 4 new activity spaces for students, for gatherings, for meetings, for whatever events students want to host. It is the home of all the departments that, as I said earlier, we've highlighted tonight, except for K Spiritual Life Center. And students really are already making themselves at home in all of the nooks and crannies. The third floor has been renovated with all kinds of like comfy little booths. You can see in the photo there's a little phone booth. We have all these little booths for them to hang out in, take meetings, have some private study time. And so we just appreciate the University Center for making the Mary Graydon Center so welcoming for students. And the last one I want to touch on is the office that's hosting this webinar tonight, New Student and Family Programs. And as many of you know, it's the home of our orientation program and our family engagement. And while much of their programming for students happens at the start of their time here at AU, they do have some opportunities for engagement throughout the years. One of the opportunities is to develop leadership skills through becoming an orientation leader. New Student Family Programs hires around 60 students every year to be orientation leaders, and that's just a great opportunity to connect with students, to connect with their peers, and to develop their leadership skills while they are here at the university. And one program spotlight I do have for them is that we have recently rolled out our Thank Claude It's Wednesday, and it's just they're biweekly events. So every couple of weeks, Claude comes out, our school mascot, and you can take the opportunity to wear your AU gear, get a picture taken with Claude. It's just an opportunity to really promote school spirit on campus. And often I think they have snacks and an opportunity for students to share their thoughts around a topic or a theme or question that's posed to them by the New Student and Family Programs team. So these are all of our offices of student engagement. These are all great opportunities, great places for students to really find programs that they connect with, clubs that they connect with, and like I said, they can find so much information on Engage. They just have to jump in and dig around. The first thing that presents is lists of events, but if they dig around in there, they will find more and more ways to get connected. And also they are always, always, always welcome to step into our offices on the third floor. We are always welcoming and open and looking for students to make sure we are answering all their questions and making them feel at home here at AU. So that's pretty much all that I have tonight for the moment. I am going to pass it off to our students here, I'm gonna throw to Jeffrey and let him jump in first to share his time, his experiences here at AU.
Of course, always happy. You guys can, I'm coming through correctly, all right? Awesome. Well, glad to be here. As Amy said, my name is Jeffrey Chambers. I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I also like to say I'm from Hampton, Virginia and Newport News, Virginia, because they've been so impactful for my life as well. I'm a sophomore here at AU, and I'm studying finance within the Kogod School of Business. And I'm also newly declared, not declared necessarily, but newly considered with my advisor a minor in sustainability, which is one of the newly offered programs that Kogod has. So I'm extremely happy to be able to pursuing that route and have that opportunity to pursue education in a field that's up and coming throughout the world. And that would be so impactful in the future career. Well, I have to say my involvement at AU did start a little bit early. As I said, I am a sophomore, but it did mainly start last year, my fall semester, when I ran for senator at large within the undergraduate student government. And I was happy to be elected by my my fellow students here at AU. And then most recently, this past May, I was proud to have been elected by the Kogod School of Business undergraduate students to be the president of their undergraduate council. So I've always been really big on making sure that I can engage within the students population here at AU, but also that I'm always offering support and really access for them as well. However, while I was first elected last fall, my engagement with AU didn't just start there. I would say my summer, right before freshman year, I was able to participate in the Summer Transition Enrichment Program offered through the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, also known as the STEP program, which is a program that allows students, mainly first generation, low income, and minority students, to come on campus around 6 to 8 weeks earlier and just have time to engage with the cohort of students just like them, explore the city while during the summertime, so there aren't as many students here, but also an opportunity to take classes at AU during the summer and explore the campus while not that many students are on campus, allowing us to acclimate a little bit closer. And specifically, one of the special parts that I got to do last summer is the university wasn't able to invite our cohort of STEP to see Vice President Kamala Harris announce a minority-owned business program loans in in Anacostia, DC, which is one of the more unrecognized, not really talked about areas of DC. So I was able to really early go in there and see ways to highlight the DC community. So I've really been able to engage not only there, but in almost all aspects of the university, engaging with the Office of CLCE, or Community Leadership and Engagement, as an Explore DC participant, but also this new year when they did the major rebrand to Venture to Volunteer, I was proud to lead an Explore DC or Venture to Volunteer group I think I had around 20 freshman students that came in that were ready to volunteer, get engaged in the DC community early. And I was proud to facilitate that for them as well. We were able to really what we did this past, when I did Venture to Volunteers, we packed bags of toiletries for a food bank not food bank, but a bank in downtown DC. So we were able to really engage with our community and do things like that. So getting engaged while here at AU has been one of the very big things that I've been happy to do, but it's always been able to do. So I'm happy for that.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate you sharing. I'm going to toss it next to Sherry so she can share a little bit with us about her involvement here on campus.
Yeah, hi y'all. I'm Sherry. I am a junior this year studying political science and economics, and I'm also part of the Lincoln Scholars Program here at AU, which is our political thought certificate that runs out of AU, obviously. So, a bit about my involvement. It's been 2 years since I've been a freshman, which seems just ridiculous to me. But the way I would say my involvement began was a lot to do with the floor that I lived on. I got really lucky and became really good friends with the people that lived on my floor freshman year, complete just luck of the draw, I guess. I really appreciated having that community to fall back on, but I did recognize that I need to get involved outside of that because, again, we were going to move in just a quick year and be living in different areas, of course. My first club involvement started through affinity organizations. I didn't mention this, but I went to high school in Massachusetts, so I didn't see many familiar people that looked like me around where I went to high school. So it was really nice to be able to find that community. Sorry, to be able to find that community once I got to campus, since I knew that, you know, other students had shared experiences such as myself. For me, that came through going to events hosted by the Hindu Student Association and the Asian American Student Union. And those are clubs that I have continued to be involved with. I was actually on e-board for the Asian American Student Union last semester and had a great time, you know, getting involved with that community and making sure that, you know, the students that came after me got to, you know, have like the great experience that I did. Beyond that, I would say that I didn't really get too involved my freshman year just because I was kind of nervous, just trying to find my footing of, you know, where I was and, you know, living on my own for the first time. My sophomore year, though, I was an Explore DC leader, like Jeffrey mentioned. It was a program where we went out and volunteered in DC. I think I mixed cement for like half a day. So definitely a unique experience of, you know, being able to give back to the community. And I really enjoyed that. Beyond that, I would say that I've held a job in pretty much every single department at this university. I worked as a desk receptionist for our housing and residence life, where I worked for our sophomore housing on campus. Next, I was also in AUSG running the election side of it. So again, Jeffrey and I seem to have a lot of connections for some reason. But yeah, I worked for elections. I got involved in that through a friend of mine. So that was a really cool connection to have. I work as a peer facilitator for our AU experience program that many of your freshmen are involved with, where I actually met Jane. So kind of literally connecting everyone around here. And just last summer, I worked as an orientation chair, guiding a few dozen orientation leaders as we, you know, implemented a new orientation program, which was great. This semester I took up a job as an ambassador. I promise y'all I am doing well in school. But I work as an ambassador, so I'm giving tours to prospective families and students and being able to, you know, share my experiences since I have seemingly done a lot. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thank you, Sherry. I love that. And then we'll go last to Jane, and she can share a little bit about how she got involved.
Okay, I don't love following that, but hi, I'm Jane. I'm a sophomore. I'm originally from a little bit outside of Seattle, Washington. What else is there? Oh, I'm a history major and I am a marketing minor. Very fun. So I'm in COGAD, and I'm also in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I'm trying to think. My freshman year, since I like moved across country, I really tried to like just acclimate myself to DC because it's very different from the West Coast, which I personally believe is the best coast, but that's a different story. Um, so I decided just to like take it easy. So I joined a couple clubs and I also joined our club running like team. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I basically ran every day and that was very fun. And I met a lot of friends and I got to explore DC that way. I also joined our beekeeping society that we have here at American. And in my spring semester through the club, they paid for me to become a certified beekeeper, which was really fun. So now I can keep bees. I will not be doing that, but it's on my resume. Um, what else did I do? It was mainly those two things my freshman year, but as I'm going into sophomore year, I've kind of decided to pick up more. And over the summer, I was an orientation leader. Yay. Yeah, Sherry, love you. I was in the Claude Eagles, whatever that is. And then what else did I do? I did that. I am on e-board, which is the executive board, which is kind of like a leadership position for AU Outdoors. And I am their events coordinator. And it's one of the biggest clubs on campus, which is a little scary, but it's very fun. And we just went to Shenandoah to do a hike. And then I also do other things. Let me think. There's a lot. Oh, yes, I'm also an intramural referee. So I ref intramural games. I just finished flag football and now I'm moving to futsal, which is indoor soccer. So let's hope for the best for me. But yeah, that's all I do. I do other stuff, but that's like the main stuff.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate that. Thank you guys for sharing. If you guys had one of the common things I think I heard, at least especially from Sherry and Jane, was that you did try to kind of take it easy your first year and not get over involved so you could kind of get acclimated to college life. If you could give one piece of advice to a new student on how they could get to find something, like to find something that they could get involved with, that is something that they are passionate about or interested in, as far as um, like a club or something like that. What advice would you give them on how to seek that out?
I can go first. I don't know if I just cut you off, Sherry, sorry. But for me, I found a lot of information through like Instagram my freshman year. That was really helpful to like find out, especially for like beekeeping, because that's a little niche. And also like the Instagram will like usually have links in their bio to take you to Engage, which is where you can find like the information for the actual events that they host. And like if you need to reserve a spot, you can also do it through there. I mean, you just have to use like your AU credentials that you'll get and like use throughout your first year and then later. But I would say Instagram was like a good way to like just see. And also just like a lot of them table like the clubs in the quad and they're just happy to chat. Like that's why they're there. They usually have free food or free something. So just kind of like walking out, trying to get out of the dorm is good. And yeah, just going to random things. Usually you can just walk in and they really don't care.
Yeah, for me, I think my freshman year, I just did a lot of like going to events because a lot of clubs, I feel, I thought coming into college that like if I went to one event, I would have to go to every single one or like they would, I just thought that was the norm. But I learned quickly that they just want you there. They just want to make sure that you're having a good time, having fun. So again, like finding clubs through Instagram or like finding things that I probably didn't have in college or in high school or something like that, like trying to find that niche. And there is there's like I think we have over 200 clubs on campus, so just being able to engage with that. Yeah, I also became friends with like other people who had like similar interests as me and stuff like that, which also helps because as long as you have like a buddy to go to like a club event with, that was like super comforting to me. I had a couple of people on my floor that were interested in joining ASU as well, the Asian American Student Union. So it was really cool because we just like walk from our dorm to our the club event together. So that was really great. But also again, like just showing up is the big thing. A lot of clubs will have like free food or free drinks or something like that. And just finding what you're interested in and just kind of showing up, honestly.
Yeah, of course. I guess I would definitely say to, in a way, echo everything everyone said. I was very engaged my freshman year, or when I started my freshman year. But I would say if I, was like go back again, I would still probably be as engaged. But mainly, it's seek engagement in the things that you actually care about, in the things that like that you can actually participate in. And that you actually want to do. I think it was really cool. I was able to find clubs that sort of like mirrored what I wanted to do in my future career. Like I personally, I want to be a corporate transactions attorney when I grow up. So I was able to find the Black Pre-Law Society, which was able to sort of start that connections really early, as well as the Business Law Society. But I wouldn't have found all of those things if I didn't go to not informational, but if I didn't go to, find their events on Instagram, or if I didn't go to the club fair that's hosted on the quad every semester. So I would just mainly get yourself out there, find things that you really want to do, that you want to be involved in, and, build those connections that way. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Um, do Samantha, do we have any questions? Other questions to answer?
I would say one question that came through a few times with the family advanced questions were about how to get connected, not just with activities with each other, because the clubs are involvement in getting engaged in the life of the school, but how does it connect to your social life and your academic?
I can take that. So for me, I feel like ASU was a big social club for me, just getting to, talk to other people who shared a similar identities. You just kind of have to explain less when you're around people who kind of have like a similar background to you. So that was very much social for me. I had no aspirations beyond that. I will say though that again, like I mentioned, the people on my floor that I became friends with, a few of them happened to be Asian, and the same people I used to walk to these events with have since become some of my best friends here at AU. And that's just by, attending these random events or, finding these commonalities that we had. I currently live with one of them from the club that I met. So I feel like it was very much not about leadership. I did have a position on the executive board for one semester, but I realized quickly that, with all my other commitments, I found that my balance is just, being an attendee, and they're really welcoming of that. And I know many other clubs are too. There are opportunities for leadership, but I wouldn't say that's like the main thing, is especially in like more social or cultural clubs.
Can anyone else add on to that? For example, if you just wanted to join something just for wellness, whether it be sports, clubs, and for the social experience, not connected to professional goals or any other things. Can anyone add a little bit onto that? I think there was another question about like how to support students to do something that just to get moving physically for wellness or just to make some connections with others.
I would say, I guess a little bit touching on that is that during like the first semester of your freshman year, the friends that you meet are really going to be not only trying to be pushed out of their comfort zone as well, but in exchange, they're going to push you out of your comfort zone. So my friends really like whenever, I think this was like the first week of school, someone sent a message in our group chat saying, well, does anyone want to, go monumenting? I said, oh, that's cool. But really it's just, building up, like getting together with your friends and like being pushed out of your comfort zone in that way. So yeah, I would say, yeah, just those connections.
Can someone
Um,
also talk about how you maybe after your first year, because there's some families here who don't have first year students, they have juniors, seniors, sophomores, etc. How do you get involved even if you've been on campus, or maybe if you don't live on campus, but you're wondering how to connect? Do you have any recommendations or suggestions for them?
I can go. I'm only a sophomore, so I don't have a lot to say. But I live on campus, so I wouldn't say that like I can really connect about like living off campus. But I would say one thing that like has really connected me weirdly has been my jobs that I've like held and am holding right now. Like orientation leader, I actually made some really good friends who were also other orientation leaders, Sherry being one of them. Um, she was my peer facilitator for my AUX class. So now we're besties essentially. Um, but yeah, just my jobs, and now I'm an intramural official for like the recreation and fitness, like the gyms. And I've met a lot of people, like one of my coworkers lives on my floor, and I've just made actually like a lot of like good friends just from working like part-time jobs on campus.
Yeah, I would kind of echo that and also add that, um, I did kind of fall into the trap of like at the end of my freshman year, I was like, all my friends are like on e-boards for clubs and like have found their place on campus. But like, I'm just, still kind of just going to events socially, not necessarily like doing anything in my head, like substantial in any way. But I realized, coming into my sophomore year that like, all it takes is like sending a text or like applying to that one position or something like that. Like the worst they could say is no, essentially. And like obviously that's easier said than done, but I feel like that's like a big thing that I have to keep like reminding myself of, is like the worst thing that anyone can say is no. Like maybe they can't get a coffee tomorrow, or like, maybe I don't get that position, but it's just about like making sure that you're saying yes to things essentially.
There's another question that just came in. I'm not sure if anyone here can answer it firsthand, but it's quite possible that you do know. Are there connections for international students? I know that we've had some students come into our office in new student family programs, and that there are some groups in different affinities, etc. But can anyone add a little bit more detail to that question?
Yeah, so I did spend the first 11 years of my life growing up in India. So I have a bit of experience being like an international student. So I don't think we have like meetups by country organized by the school necessarily, but again, this is like where those clubs would come into play. I know we have the South Asian Student Association, as well as the ASU. So there are many ways of like getting involved in like your specific like cultural identity. We have a German club, we have AU Project Ponyo, which is for people interested in like the Chinese language and culture. We have a lot of clubs just surrounding the culture of a country or like a region of the world. So I feel like that's the easiest way to do that. I also know that our international student office does host a lot of events like mixers and stuff like that throughout the year for students to be able to attend and, you know, maybe grab some free food or something like that and be able to attend these events as well.
Super. Thank you so much. I just want to see if there are any other questions. Amy, did you have any wrap-up thoughts to wrap up this evening? Thank you, students, for your great comments and suggestions and tips.
I am going to share my screen one more time because it actually does have all of the Instagram accounts for all of our major offices, as well as Dane, and shameless plug for the food pantry, the market. We do have our Instagram. So let me share this real quick so everybody can see all of these Instagram handles. Leave that up there for you guys. And I did want to say I dropped in the chat as well the website for RecFit. I know we didn't touch on that, but for people who are interested in intramural type sports and things like that, you know, not major sports teams of the university, like for on the fun side, RecFit is to get involved with that. They also have group and stuff like that. So other ways, if you are interested in getting to know people that way, RecFit is a great opportunity for that. And we also have, I have one more actually, sorry, I just thought of this. One more website. We have a performing arts department as well. And so if you are interested in anything along that, song, dance, all of those things, that is another, they're not part of student engagement. So I don't have them all the time, but I will drop this in the chat as well because they're the performing arts department here at AU is amazing, and they do auditions every year for drama, for dance, for music, everything. So if there's anything your student is interested in along those lines, that's another great place to visit. So yeah, I think that's it, and I really appreciate everybody joining us this evening. And thank you to all of our students for being with us.
Thank you, Sherry, Jane, and Jeffrey, for taking time out of your busy schedules and study schedules and social schedules to join us this evening. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Julia. Thank you all for joining us. Stay tuned for our next webinar. It will be about campus safety. That's next week. And check out our new Student and Families Program page, actually our Parents and Families American University webpage for future events and webinars. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Remind your student to check out Engage. And we're glad that you all came. Thank you so much. For any questions, email us at eaglefamilies@american.edu. And then Amy, is there a student engagement email?
No, they can email me at aniel@american.edu.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. We're glad that you all came. Have a great evening. And we look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you. Bye-bye now.